In this video, I'm going to create a small document by entering the text, editing the text, and formatting the text. Because we don't have a whole lot of time, I'm actually going to insert most of the body of the text from another file and just really type the heading. So I've got a blank Word document open, a new document, and I'm going to type in the title, which is Gardener's Corner. And then do a line feed, so I'm down on the next line. I'm going to go to the Insert ribbon, and we insert text under Object in the Text section, Text from File, and it opens a File dialog window, and I need to go down to the proper location of the file. So I'm opening the folder that contains the right file, and it's called Gardens Doc. So I just did a double click, and it inserted the text for me. So here is my text. Now, the next thing I want to change is down here on the third paragraph. Remember that Word says every line that has a line feed on it is a paragraph. So if I move back to my home ribbon and turn on the paragraph marks, you can see that. Right here, this is a field, so I'm going to highlight the text by selecting it with my mouse and actually change that to my own name. And then when I click away, I've deselected that text, and I am going to do a file save. This is a brand new document, so I can choose to save it either with the icon up here, Control S, or by going to the Office button and choosing either of the save options here. All of those methods would give me a dialog box to save the file, and I'm going to call this Finished Garden, which I have used before. And so in my case, it's going to ask me if I want to overwrite it, which I do, and I'm good, and it's changed the name up here on the title bar. So I've got all the text in here, but I'm also going to insert a picture in here, and I'm going to click right in front of the A here and go to the Insert tab, and in the Illustration section use the Picture tool, which again I'm going to have to drill down to where it's located on my computer to find the correct file to insert. So that's where I'm going. It's this picture of daisies, and I'm going to insert that right here. And when I do, I get the format ribbon for my pictures, and I'm going to change the height to 3, and I'm going to change the width to 4. When I click away, it does resize my picture. When I click back on the picture, the toolbar is back, because one other thing I want to change, and that is the text wrapping style. So I'm opening the text wrap tool, and I'm choosing tight, because that allows me to move the picture around so that the text wraps around it. And I want it kind of centered in this first paragraph with the text underneath it. Then, because I've got it down a little, let me come up just a touch. And that looks like it's about right. I'm going to come back up now and actually start the formatting process. Well, not yet. Let's do some editing. This creates the document, but I'm going to save it. I only have really 2 things that need to be edited. One is down here under the picture where the 2 dashes are. I want to insert an EM dash, M dash, instead of those 2 dashes. So I've highlighted those with the mouse. I'm going to the Insert tab to Symbol, and when I click on it, the M dash isn't there, so I have to go to More Symbols, Special Characters, and it is the first symbol here, so I can just click Insert and close the dialog box, and it did make the insertion. Then I see that I spelled garden incorrectly, and I'm sure that there are more things that are probably wrong. So I'm going to run the spell checker, but before I do it, the other way to do it, if you don't see many things that are wrong, you can just simply put your mouse over it and right click, and you will get a shortcut, and garden is the correct spelling. So I can correct that right there. Now I am going to start up here at the top, which you don't have to do, but it does make it a little easier to know where it started and where it's going to finish. I'm going to run the spell check, which is on the Review tab. So I'm going to click on Spell and Grammar Check. This weeks should have an apostrophe, so I'm going to change that. Water deeply and keep plants moist. That is correct as well, so I'm going to ignore that rule. Composting ads, that's correct, so I'm going to ignore it. You do have to read these because sometimes they are correct and it's the spell check that's wrong. This one, however, care is misspelled, so I want to change that. And then it tells me that it's finished. And notice that we are on 2 pages too. When we're done, it'll only be on 1 page. So that's the end of my editing, so I'm going to save it again, and I'm ready to start the formatting process. I'm going to come from the top down, so I'm going to highlight the title here. And here's my mini format toolbar. I want to bold. I want to change it to this darker orange color. And then I also want to change the point size, and I lost my toolbar there, so I can go to the home ribbon and I want to change this to 16 point, which I can either click on or I can actually type it in and press enter. And I also want it centered, so I'm going to use the center alignment. And my subtitle I can highlight with the mouse, or I could triple click since it is a paragraph, and you can triple click a paragraph. I want it bold, centered, orange, and 14 point. And I've done all of that off the mini format toolbar, and I got an extra line here that I am going to delete. And then I want this text as well to be centered, so I could use the mini toolbar, or I can come up here on the home toolbar and center it. I'm going to set this A as a drop cap, so I'm highlighting it with the mouse, and I'm going to the Insert tab, and on the right in the text section, here's drop cap. I'm going to choose this drop cap, and I do want to change the color, so I'm going back to the home ribbon, and I want the same orange to be consistent through my document. And then I'm moving down through the document here. This is my first subheading. I can also come out here in the margin and find the arrow pointing back to the right and click, and it selects that. I want this to be bold, 12 point. And I also want it to be the same orange, so I'm going to come up here and click the font color tool to change it. I've got 2 other subheadings in the document, plant perennials and add compost, that are going to be the same format. So I'm going to use the format painter. If I click it once, I can only use it once. So I'm going to double click it, which turns it on indefinitely, and scroll down. Here's plant perennials, and the paintbrush you can see is attached to the mouse. You have to be careful where you click because it's going to apply it. And add compost. I'm through with it, so I want to come back up on the ribbon and turn it off. So I have now added those formats. Under cleanup, starting with the sentence edge beds down to the end of that section, I want those to be bullets. You can find bullets on the mini toolbar, but it's also up here on the home ribbon. I'm going to click it. And I think it would look better if it were back to the left edge. So I've got my increase and decrease indent buttons up here on the toolbar in paragraph, and I want to decrease the indent, which brings it back to the left margin. Under plant perennial, starting with the sentence dig, this is going to be a numbered list. So again, I'm going to come up on the home ribbon and choose numbers and move it back by clicking decrease indent so that it's at the margin. And we've got some of what was on page 2 on page 1. So the last thing that I want to do here is to actually start with cleanup and select all the text to the end of the document right there. And then I'm going to the page layout and choose columns, and I'm going to take that text and put it into 2 columns under my first paragraph and picture. So now I have all of my text on 1 page, so it's looking more like a little newsletter, and I'm going to save it again. There's only one more step here, and that is to add the footer information, which is going to be the file name. I could go to the View tab, the Insert tab, and click on Header or Footer to actually insert a header footer, or I can simply roll down here and get my mouse down toward the bottom of the page and double click, which puts me in the footer area and also opens the design toolbar. Now the file name is kind of hidden because it's under quick parts, so I want to open quick parts. It is a field, and these are in alphabetical order, file name, and I have lots of options, but I'm going to choose title case since the file name is 2 words. And there it is, but I do want it centered, and here's my mini access toolbar, mini format toolbar, so I can center it with that, or I could go back to the home ribbon. And then I can close the header footer, which will put me back in the main body of the document, or I can simply come up here and double click in the document and I see my footer information at the bottom. And quickly, I'm going to look at print preview because I have it here on my toolbar, and there is what the finished product looks like, and I can see the whole page. So we've created a simple Word document.